Welcome to the show, Elise.
Thank you.
My favorite question to ask is, what's your recovery date?
So my recovery date is the 22nd of October 2018. I've just hit 6 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
The 22nd, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
My second favorite question is, what was happening October 21st of 2018?
So I don't actually really remember a lot leading up to it, if that makes sense, because I
Yeah.
was so high all the time. Like it just I wasn't coherent at all. But I remember being at home and my mum had taken my brothers out or something like that. And I remember being in my room and going, something don't feel right. And it was a drug that was relatively new, or a supplier that was relatively new to us at the time. And they went, oh yeah, just give this a go. Like before we start sending it out, like give it a go, see what you think. And I was using it, and like I say, it just did not sit right with me at all. And then next thing you know, I'm waking up 10 days later um in intensive care with a tube down my throat. So yeah.
Not really where you want to find yourself, huh?
No, especially not, like I say, in front of my whole family and things like that
Yeah.
didn't really know, or they didn't really know that I had a problem at the time. So
What
it was
drug was it?
so I was doing anything from cocaine to speed, smoking your weed and all the rest of it. But it was actually laced cocaine, I come to find out, which was what sort of put me in that state,
Well,
unfortunately.
do you know what it was laced with?
I can't remember now, but I know that it's still in circulation, and I know that it's pink. And people are going around saying, like, you've got to be really, really careful with it.
Oh shit. I've heard
Yeah,
that's what that One Direction guy was.
yeah. So it was
um
like,
what the fuck's the name of that? I can't remember the name. It
I
has
know, yeah, I know that it's going around, at least in the UK anyway, being called tusi, I think.
I think pink cocaine. Tusi. Yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
I've heard about that. It's dangerous,
yeah.
and it can cause psychosis, like that, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I say, I don't really remember a lot. So I ended up going, like I say, into the coma on the 12th, and I woke up on the 22nd. um so I, like I say, I remember being at home in my bedroom and things like that, just pottering around doing what I was doing. And my mum came home. She goes, you don't look right. Are you okay? I went, yeah, just trying to sort of brush it off. And we ended up going out with a couple of family members, and it hit at the restaurant that we were in. And I just remember, like I say, looking at what we'd ordered, going, I can't touch this. Like I don't feel well at all. I went to stand up, and it was like my legs weren't mine. It was really, really weird. I fell to the floor, and just I that was it. Everything sort of went black. So it was, yeah, it wasn't a fun experience, that's for certain.
No, out of 200 plus episodes, you're the first person to tell me Tusi.
Oh really?
So that's how new it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's in the States, but it's more of a high end cocaine.
Yeah.
So it's not like popular yet.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like Tusi is what fentanyl was 6 years ago.
Got ya.
Is fentanyl in your area yet?
It's becoming more popular. that's
Okay.
that's yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely, I'm seeing it and hearing about it a lot more, unfortunately.
I'm in Pennsylvania, which I grew up in New Jersey, right
Got
outside of Philadelphia.
Right.
And in Philadelphia, there's Kensington, and
Yeah.
it's like the biggest open air drug market in the country in the United States.
Oh wow.
And xylazine overtook fentanyl.
Got ya.
And I don't know if you ever heard of xylazine. It's a horse tranquilizer.
I've heard of it briefly, I think, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, it's a horse tranquilizer that people are mixing in their heroin and shooting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's intense. Like
Yeah.
even if you're withdrawing from xylazine and you use fentanyl, it doesn't make you stop withdrawing. You're still
Yeah.
withdrawing. It's crazy
I was
what
going to
people
say
are putting in their body.
I've had fentanyl in a medical setting, and even that was bad enough. So God
Yeah,
knows what
so did I.
what it's like out on the street.
Yeah, I quit opiates April 25th, 2018.
Oh, nice.
And in June of 2021, I had to get my gallbladder removed because I
Oh,
did so much damage to it in my years of addiction.
got you.
I was throwing up bile every day from
Yeah,
being withdrawing.
yeah,
So my gallbladder shut down in recovery.
yeah,
And I told the doctors, do not give me any opiates, do not give me any opiates. And I woke up and I felt high. And I said
yeah.
to the nurse, like, hey, I don't feel right. I
What?
feel
Yeah,
high.
what did you give me?
And she said, oh, it's just the anesthesia. And then the doctor walked in and he was like, well, you looked uncomfortable. So we gave you a shot of Dilaudid and a shot of fentanyl.
Oh my
I was like,
God.
dude, I'm going to go into withdrawals. He was like, no,
Yeah,
you'll be fine. It's been 2 years or 3 years.
yeah,
And it was an outpatient surgery. So as soon as I walked outside, I started throwing up
right.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And I
See,
threw
I
up
was
for
the exact
18
same.
hours straight. It was
I was
awful.
the exact same, and I just had open surgery on my stomach because I've got a condition within like my womb and things like that. It's called endometriosis. So I had that surgery done, and similar thing really. They said, "Oh well, you were in quite a bit of pain when you came round, so we gave you fentanyl." And I said to them, you know, I signed an action plan with you guys 4 months prior saying I want nothing but IV paracetamol and ibuprofen if it's needed. You know, because I don't want to be doped up again. I don't want to be hot. I don't want to risk my recovery. And they were like, oh yeah, well that must have gotten lost. So I went, but you lot signed it. You know, my surgeon signed it, my GP signed it, everyone signed it. Why has it been either lost or not taken into account? And they went, oh yeah, well we're really sorry. And like you say, 18, 20 hours I was just throwing up like nobody's business.
And you have to like, I had to hold a pillow to my stomach so that my
Yeah,
incisions didn't
yeah,
open up while I was throwing up.
yeah.
And I'm
I
sure you had to
remember,
do the same.
yeah, I remember being curled up on the bathroom floor, clutching
Yep.
pillows and blankets and things like that, and
Yep.
just crying, thinking, oh my God.
Yep.
My my nan, she turned around to me, she goes, is there anything you can like you want me to do? Like, can I help you in any way? And I just looked at her, broke down crying. I was like, I just don't know. Like I was useless for a good few days after that.
Yep, and I was like, maybe this is just how you feel after you lose your gallbladder.
Yeah.
So I called my 85-year-old grandmother who lost her gallbladder like 5 years prior in her 80s.
Right.
And I said, Graham, how did you feel after your gallbladder removal? She was like, I felt great. I was vacuuming
Yeah.
and doing the dishes that day. And I was like, like this is
Good
gonna
on
be
her though.
annoying.
Good
Oh,
on
it
her.
was awful. It was awful, Elise. So where did you grow up?
So I was born in Cornwall, in the UK. It's like a tiny little sort of seaside county. And then my mum actually married somebody in the army, so we were being moved every few months, as he was being stationed in different places and things like that. So it was sort of Yorkshire, London, Manchester, Liverpool, things like that. So I never really had like a solid sort of foundation.
I have a Liverpool tattoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have where is it? It's Penny Lane.
Oh, right. I
I
was going
have
to say I've got that many. I'm the same. I'm like, well, where have I put that one?
yeah, I got
Yeah, I just had like a full thing done on the back of my arm that goes from like my hand up to my shoulder. So that
yeah.
was one sitting.
I had one before I got into recovery and somebody asked me a few weeks ago, how many do you have? Can you count? And it was 55 small and
Yeah.
medium sized ones on my and they're all on my arms.
Yeah, see, I've got I think 73 the last time myself and my girlfriend, but we had to get a pen out and like sort of check them off because we kept losing count of which ones we
Yeah,
actually sort of accounted for.
that's funny. Yeah. Did what you got most of them in recovery?
Yeah, all of them. I did a lot of stick and pokes on myself.
Gotcha.
Um, before recovery and things like that, just like you do, teenagers sort of messing around, things like that.
Yep.
And so I've had to get quite a dark tattoo on my thigh to sort of cover them all. Thankfully, they stuck to sort of one place. So
Yeah, my wife got a tattoo machine, and
nice.
so she's giving me like a dozen tattoos while laying in bed.
I was going to say that's the best way to do it, really, isn't it? Because you don't have
Yep.
to pay for them, and they are expensive. They're getting more and more expensive every time I go and get one. So
And the thing is, not all of them came out perfect because she's
yeah,
new. But
yeah,
like you know how it is when you get a bad tattoo and you have so many, it's like, oh well, fuck it. Like
yeah.
they're not
I'm
gonna
like
see
that with
the
one on the
bad
top of
one.
my arm.
I've had a couple bad tattoos, and it is what it is. I
Yeah,
have so many good ones, and people see the good ones and they don't
more
notice the
than
bad ones.
yeah, yeah. It's like
Um,
I've got like a heart with eyes and sort of tears up here, but it's like really thick on one side and then really thin and patchy on the other, and it's like, oh,
this is
okay,
my messed up one. You can see how small the letters get bigger.
yeah. It's one of those though. When you're learning, it's good to have sort of, from what I've heard from professionals now, it's good to have sort of someone that goes, yeah, just do whatever, like do what you want,
Yep.
because it sort of teaches you how to sort of obviously do it and which ways to pull the skin and things like that. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have her do my back. I don't
oh,
care what she does on my back. I'm just gonna let her practice on my back because I
yeah,
can't see them anyway.
good
You,
luck.
you know.
I've got a tattoo between my shoulder blades that's probably about that big, and I went from my forearm was my first tattoo, professional one, to my back, and I sat there and cried for the hour and a half that it took. I was like, this is hell, like I don't like it, I want to go home.
Yeah, my next one professionally, I'm gonna get forget me nots on my hand, the
I,
flowers.
I love that.
So, and I'm gonna get the my dad passed away from colon cancer last year, so I'm gonna get the colon
Oh, I'm
cancer
sorry.
ribbon on my
No,
middle finger.
I
And
love
my
that.
wife has MS, so I'm gonna get the MS ribbon on my other middle finger.
Oh, brilliant. I was
So
going to say, yeah, so I care in the community now. And we look after someone with MS, and it's not easy. So no, it is a horrible condition.
yeah, she's had it for 3 years now.
Oh, bless.
And she at least we're on disability with her.
Yeah.
And I work from home, and our county assistance pays for an in-home caregiver
Oh,
that's here
brilliant.
4 days a week that helps out around the house for her.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to
I
say
work, yeah,
that's the sort of package and thing you need, isn't it, really? Because you
yeah,
can't do it all on your own.
no, no, especially with the fatigue and the
Yeah.
body aches and the MS hugs. It's not a
Yeah.
pleasant. Um, so you grew up in the UK
Yeah.
and on the seaside, and you moved around. I'm trying to catch up before we went on that tangent about tattoos. Um, so did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, so I've got four younger brothers.
Oh wow, so you're the
Yeah,
oldest of five?
I am indeed. Which it comes with its perks, I suppose. But yeah.
I'm the oldest of three, so I was the one that made all the mistakes.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
When I went to rehab 6 years ago, the day I left, my little brother, bought his first house. Like he signed the paperwork to buy his first house
Yeah.
as I was getting shipped off to rehab.
Oh God. It just
So
goes to show though, doesn't it? But I've always said, your first child is the one that you make the mistakes with, because you knew, you don't necessarily know exactly what you're doing. You don't know how to cope with situations, especially, my mum being a young parent as well.
how old are you?
Um, so I am 23.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm trying. Oh, that's why your email address. That makes sense then.
Yeah.
What did you discover first, drugs or alcohol?
Drugs.
How old were you?
I was probably 10 or 11.
Okay.
So,
Were your
yeah,
parents addicts?
my dad was, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
My dad, he was quite heavy in with cocaine and meth and things like that. So I was subjected at a very, very early age. My parents split up not long after I was born anyway. So it was the whole thing of, you go to your dad's on the weekend, and I'd spend the whole time in my room whilst my dad was knocked out you know, in just unconscious because of all the drugs and things, and you'd have to sort of tiptoe around needles and spoons and things like that. And it's just, yeah, it wasn't great over there.
No, it can't. I can imagine, or I can't imagine. I discovered alcohol when I was 11.
Hmm.
So, and so you were like 11 at the same time when you
Yeah.
first discovered drugs.
Yeah.
What did you do first?
So my best friend's brother was a dealer at the time, and I'm epileptic, and I remember we were sat on the sofa, and he turned around to me and he goes, "Have you ever thought about cannabis for your epilepsy?" Because it was so out of control at the time. And I turned around to him and I thought, well, I said to him, I said, "Well, what do you mean have I thought about smoking weed?" Like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. And he goes, "Well, no, because studies now show that cannabis can help with seizures." And
Which it
that's how it,
can.
pardon?
Which it can. Like cannabis can help with seizures.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
can. I take CBD oil now, instead of smoking weed, things like that. I've only just been brave enough to sort of try it after getting sober. But yeah, he turned around to me, he was like, "Just try it, just see if it does anything. And if it helps, then it helps, we can sort of figure something out." And that's, like I say, that's how I first sort of got hooked and in with the sort of drugs and everything else, which again, I was really, really young.
Yeah, I was 13 when I started smoking weed,
Got you.
and I smoked weed for 25 years.
Yeah.
So I've smoked weed longer than you've been alive.
It's quite scary when you put it like that, really, isn't it?
I
Thinking,
know, because I'm 38 and I started smoking weed at 13, and I just quit smoking weed 6 months ago,
oh, well
or
done.
April 1st, so 7, 8 months, something like that.
Well done.
And because when I first got sober, I found a rehab in Los Angeles that uses cannabis as a medicine to help you get off opiates.
Got you.
And I was using it as a medicine for 5 years until, like I said, my dad passed. Then I
Yeah.
started smoking all day, every day.
Yeah.
And, as you know, if anything makes your life unmanageable, you should probably stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So between benzos like Valium that I was overprescribed and overtaking, and weed that I was smoking all day, every day, I kind of quit them both. Not kind of, I definitely quit them both
Yeah.
on April 1st. So, but I have 4 dates that mean a lot to me. And
Hmm.
it's April 25th, 2018, when I quit opiates.
Yeah.
It's 2/29/20, right before COVID, when I quit alcohol. It is April 1st of 2024 when I quit benzos and weed,
Brilliant.
and July 13th, 2024 when I quit gambling.
Oh, brilliant.
So I have 4 dates
Yeah.
that I celebrate different milestones.
Brilliant.
So
That's the thing. It's like my family, because again, I'm the complete black sheep. They go, "Well, why do you celebrate?" And it's like, because I woke up. I woke up and I wasn't supposed to wake up.
yeah.
Everyone was telling you when I was in that coma, she's not going to wake up from this. Like, everything's just giving up. You, you're going to have to get your family round, and all my family would gather around my bedside and sort of sit there, and talk to me whilst I was in this coma. Again, not expecting me to wake up, and it's like, well, no, I am going to celebrate that because I'm still alive. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it didn't take me like we all thought it would, because I knew I was slowly dying with what I was doing to myself, but I just couldn't bring myself to stop. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah.
So you got sober when you were 17.
Yeah.
All right, and you're 10 and you start smoking weed. Do
Yeah.
you ever really get into drinking?
I did when I was about 20, sort of between the sort of ages of 18 and 20, because 18 is when you can legally start drinking in the UK. And then COVID hit as well, when I think I was about 20 years old. But my issue was, it was like, well, I'm not on drugs, so I don't have a problem. And I didn't see it for such a long time, because again, well, I'm not smoking weed. I'm not sticking cocaine up my nose. Like, I'm fine. And I really obviously wasn't fine at all. So I did have issues with drinking, but I'm now at the sort of stage where I can go into sort of pubs and things and not have a drink, or be around it. And me and my girlfriend, we actually went on a night out and we went for a couple of drinks, and I haven't actually touched it since. So I'm now sort of at the point where I can be like, right, well, I can have a couple and I can go home and I'll be fine. Which is nice, because I sort of almost feel normal again.
Yeah, and you're still young.
Yeah, that's it.
Um, so when did you get introduced to cocaine?
So because I started smoking weed at such a young age, my friend's brother turned around to me and he was like, well, hang on a minute, I can help you here, if you want to keep smoking the weed and things like that. um in return, I will give you the drugs, but I want you to start running for me, taking drugs to the people that were asking for it, and sort of bringing the money back to him, sort of thing. So just running around for him, really. And I always have been sort of plus size and, a bigger girl. And I said to him, I was like, look, I'm smoking the weed, but I'm constantly eating. I was like, it's great, but I'm eating, and I want to lose weight. I'm trying everything, and I can't lose weight, and I'm so tired all the time, because between looking after my brothers, running the drugs, and trying to stay in full-time education, I was just exhausted all the time, which is when he introduced me to the speed and the cocaine.
So
So
you were basically trafficking weed.
yeah, yeah. Well,
But
it was cocaine, speed, it was pills, weed, anything really that he needed me to shift. I'd sort of get a phone call, and it was the whole thing of, I'll ring you, it'll ring 3 times, and I'll hang up, and that's when I need you. And that was it, really. I knew when I was needed, and I knew when I had to go out, but I'd also try anything new that he'd bring in.
would you would you get like money for that, or would you get stuff for free?
I'd get my drugs for free, so I wouldn't have to pay for it.
So that's I was just going to ask you how you supported your habit
Yeah.
as a teenager.
Yeah, so I'd try anything new he was bringing in, which is where the pink cocaine came from, and things like that. And like I say, I'd try anything that he had that he didn't want to try himself. And like I say, I'd run the drugs for him.
Does he still sell the tusi?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since about 6 months after I got sober.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's funny how your dealer basically becomes your best friend.
Yeah.
Um, my dealer and I, I was driving 2 hours to see him 4 times a week,
Yeah.
and I talked to him every day,
Yeah.
and I would run for him as well. He liked to sell in bulk,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to sell in like 3 or 4 pills, because my problem was with oxycodone.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't want to sell like 3 or 4 pills. So I would pick up like 20 pills and then go sell them to the people that wanted 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I would make a little money and get some for free.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And he would spot me
Yeah.
pills, like he would front me and I would owe him money.
Yeah.
Before I went to rehab, I called him and I said, listen, man, like I need to go to rehab, but I owe you $1,800.
Yeah.
What what can we do here?
Yeah.
And he said, because he knew I was suicidal, because I had told
Mhm.
him that. He said, listen, if you go to rehab and I never hear from you again, you don't owe me a dime.
Yeah.
But if you go to rehab and I find out that you're back in town buying pills, you owe me the $1,800 again.
Yeah.
So I haven't touched pills since then. I mean,
No.
the Valium that I had a relapse, but I was prescribed that. I wasn't buying. I haven't bought street drugs in over 6 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 6 years, 6 months. I haven't bought street drugs.
Brilliant.
So, and I quit alcohol just because I found after 13 months, I started drinking again.
Yeah.
In May of 2019, I started drinking again. And within 9 months, I found myself drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels in a day. And I woke up on leap day hungover, and I said to my wife, who's also an alcoholic, like, hey, I either need to drink right now or we need to quit.
Yeah.
And it was leap day 2020, and it was like the perfect time to like quit.
Yeah.
Because, we could only celebrate every 4 years.
That was it, yeah.
And then COVID shut down everything 2 weeks later.
Yeah. See, we went into the national lockdown in the March of 2020 or 2021. I know it was around sort of March time.
Yeah, March 12th here.
Yeah, I think it
of
was the
2020.
the 28th, I think it was here. 28th, 23rd, something like that anyway.
Yeah. I know you guys were a little bit behind us, but not
Yeah.
much behind us.
Yeah, no, we caught up quick. We don't like to stay behind.
Yeah, it's different out there.
Yeah, massively.
Do you have your own place now?
So I live with my girlfriend and our best friend. We all live together, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is nice, because
Yeah.
this way you can, have some accountability
Yeah.
and be able to have that freedom of not having 4 little brothers running around.
Yeah, but it's weird you say that, because the only thing I miss about being at home is my boys, which is really weird. I ended up raising them from the age of 14 up to probably about 2 years ago now. So for like 6 years they were my kids. But obviously with them being my mum's, it was, well, I can't take them with me, so you're going to have to step up and be the mum that you never have been, which is also what played a massive part in my addiction as well, because it was, I'm a teenager, I'm still a child myself, raising a newborn baby and, two 5-year-olds and a 6-year-old. Like, I've got all of this going on. Where are you? Do you know what I mean? And again, that was another factor of the cocaine. It was, I could not stay awake. I physically could not stay awake long enough to do everything I needed to do, along with go to school as well.
Can I ask you what was going on with your mom that you had to step up and be the mom?
So we still don't really know what's going on with her. But it was almost like the whole Gypsy Rose thing. So she came home one day and goes, I've got cancer. I went, you what? She goes, I've got cancer and I'm dying, basically. But there was strokes that she'd supposedly had. There was brain tumors, fluid on the brain, kidney failure, things like that. And then she'd mention it for a while, and then it would be something else, and the last thing would never get mentioned again. And when I caught her out was when I actually moved away. So I remember I had to go and find something for the doctor. So I was looking through a cabinet that we had all sort of medical things in. And she'd lost a lot of weight, and she was putting it down to chemotherapy. She'd lost a lot of weight. She was really sick all the time. She was losing her hair. And again, it was like, oh, okay, like this is real now. And then I found documents from Turkey, and she'd taken herself to Turkey and gone and got gastric sleeve surgery, which, when you don't follow the recovery properly, you do lose your hair and you lose a significant amount of weight, and you are very sickly because you're not giving your body what it needs. So in turn,
Yeah.
the malnutrition makes your hair fall out and you lose weight faster and things like that. So that's when everything sort of came crashing down, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. And were you brothers or twins?
Yeah, so there's 2 twins and then there's 2 on their own.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot to handle. 6,
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. And we've all got a sprinkle of ADHD and stuff like that in there as well. So I always refer to us as like a house from Shameless.
Yep.
That was exactly what we were like.
The UK version or the US version?
Oh no, the US version, without a doubt. My mum was just Frank.
That's such a great show too, because it portrays like you're Fiona.
Yeah.
And as a teenager raising the kids, and Frank was off being Frank.
Yep.
My favorite
Yes.
is when the mom dies
Yeah.
and they all get that meth, and Frank goes away for 3 months
Yeah.
and does all the meth at the Buddhist, like, whatchamacallit, and he comes back
Yeah.
and he's now Francis.
Yeah.
And everything has changed.
Yeah. This is it. Or when he wakes up in, what was it, Canada? And he's
Yeah.
like, what am I doing here? Like, I hate this place.
Yeah, that's such a, I gotta rewatch that again. That's
Yeah.
such a great show. I don't think I watched the last season. What
No, I don't think I did either, because I
I'm
know
doing
who
this
dies
thing.
in it, but
I have to like watch shows sober
yep.
because I watched so many shows while I was high,
You have to
or
then go back and rewatch them, because it's like,
the
I
entire
don't
thing.
know. Yeah.
I'm doing that with 3 different shows right now. I'm doing that with Sopranos, I'm doing that with New Girl, and I'm doing that with there's another show that I'm blanking on right now, but yeah, I'm watching 3 different shows over again.
Yeah.
And from the very beginning, and just
Yeah.
depends on my mood what show I'm going to put on,
Yeah. See,
or how
it's
much
like I've
time I have.
yeah. See, I've got to watch Breaking Bad again,
Yeah.
because I watched that and I remember snippets of it, and it's like, no, I need to. And myself and my partner, we're rewatching the Z Nation, or Z Nation as you guys call it.
I don't know that one.
It's like a comedy zombie sort of
Oh, okay.
sketch, almost like The Walking Dead, but funny, if that makes sense. It's quite good. It is quite good.
Well, I'm glad you're doing good now, Elise.
Yeah, no, same with you.
You're making a ton of progress. So how do you stay clean? Is there, like, do you go to meetings or online support, or what are you doing?
A lot of, so my partner, she herself is in recovery as well. Um, and her sister also, and her dad. So, the people I have around me, we're all in recovery, and it's almost like we're sort of keeping each other above the water, if that makes sense. And again, I don't have my own blood family anymore because of me moving away with everything with my mum and things like that. I literally speak to my brothers and my auntie from my family. That's it. And they've sort of adopted me in and taken me in, and we're so open and honest. And they only live over the road, so it's like if I'm feeling like crap, I'll go over there, and I'm just like, just have a chat with me and drink a coffee, like have a coffee with me, just do something, because I need to take my mind off of certain things. And I've picked up hobbies, so I find, sort of, as cliche as it is, tattoos sort of bring me back down to earth again. And I keep fish and things like that, and like as pets and stuff like that. So it's one of those that it's like I can sort of distract myself as and when I need to, which obviously, as you probably know, sometimes it's like I could really just pick up that phone right now and just, do you know what I mean? Because I know I'd be able to get hold of anything like that. Um, but it's distracting myself until that feeling isn't necessarily as strong anymore.
That makes sense. It's not, I always say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're surrounding yourself with people in recovery, it kind of keeps you on a straight and narrow.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Where
it's also the fact that, unlike my family, as I say, I was always judged. I was always the black sheep. I was always the one going, well, hang on a minute, let's not invite her because of this, or we don't want to have her around our children because she might be high. And if I'm not, if I went through a stage of not feeling very well, or because I've got sort of diagnosed depression, PTSD, things like that, if I went through a stage of staying in bed, it was because she's high. Or every time I went out, what are you doing? Where are you going? What are you spending your money on? These guys, they don't do that. Do you know what I mean? There is that level of trust, and they do have the faith in me, and they really, really have. Like I say, without my girlfriend and her family, I don't have a clue where I'd be, to be honest.
now, can I ask about the PTSD?
So my mum's ex-husband, who we moved away with, he is a prolific paedophile. So it wasn't known at the time when they got together. but they met when I was about a year old, and they got married when I was 6, something like that. So they were together for quite a long time, and it started probably not soon after they sort of got together. And they were together, like I say, from when I was about a year old to when I was 12, 13 years old. And it was just the constant abuse, really. But it then started spilling over onto my brothers as well. And it wasn't just the sexual abuse with all of us, it was the physical and the emotional on top of that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can see the PTSD then. That makes a lot of sense. Is that the army guy?
Yeah.
And the 4 kids are from him?
So the older 3 are from him, and then the youngest has a different dad.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense because of the age difference.
Yeah.
Well, you've been through a lot, to say the least. Well, I had one more question.
Yeah.
That I lost track of. The PTSD, I guess that's it. I mean, I'm glad to see that you're working your recovery so hard. Have you ever thought about therapy?
So I've been in and out of therapy since it all came out about my mum's ex-husband, because it started at such a young age. I didn't actually know that it was wrong. And I would tell my mum, like, these things are happening, like they shouldn't be happening. And I'd speak to people again, because in the army down here, I don't know if it's the same in America, but yearly you'd have like get-togethers with all of the servicemen and their families and things like that, and you'd have like a barbecue, almost like a day at the fair. Like, it was just everyone sort of in the community together. And I've spoken to a few of them that were there when I was younger, going, well, yeah, you did mention things, and your mum and him would sort of shut you up and change the subject. Like, I'm so sorry. They've actually reached out to me after seeing his face on the news, going, oh my God, like, if only I could have put 2 and 2 together. I'm so sorry. So it was like, it was all sort of hush hush. I think my mum knew what was going on roughly, but didn't know the extent of it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I've had a few people on that told me kind of the same thing, that they didn't
Yeah.
know any better.
Yeah.
I had one girl on from Canada, and she said it started when she was 3,
Yeah.
and it went until she was 15,
Yeah.
and she fell in love with him because she thought that that's, like Stockholm syndrome, like she thought that's just what life is.
Yeah. Well,
And
thankfully I never went through that, but it was the whole thing of, with me anyway, he would do these things, and then next thing you know, I'd have a new Nintendo DS, or I'd have a new telly for my room, or we'd go and redecorate my bedroom, or we'd go on a trip. So it was almost like you do that and then you get a reward, or
yeah,
it's a thing to shut you up, because if I don't do this, you won't then get all of this. And as a child, it's like, well, hang on a minute, like, all things are forgotten, really, aren't they, to
yeah,
a certain extent, on, oh, okay, like, that's that now, well, okay, like, which is really unfortunate.
yeah, yeah. I can see that, and it sounds like the weed kind of came into play right around when the abuse stopped.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was one of those things. It was also, like you say, to sort of cope with the fact that it wasn't happening anymore. And I liked the fact that it wasn't happening anymore, because she had left him and all the rest of it, but it was helping me in a way mask everything that was going on in my head, because they left, or we left, and I started self-harming and things like that, and it was just a way to sort of try and cope with all of that, to
When
be
did the
honest.
epilepsy start?
So I was quite a poorly newborn, and I ended up contracting meningitis in the NICU, and the meningitis actually attacked my brain, which is when the epilepsy started. So I've got scar tissue and scarring from probably about in line with my eyebrow, all the way round to the back of my ear at the nape of my neck. Just the whole sort of right side is all sort of scarred and things like that and damaged.
When was the last time you had a seizure?
Funnily enough, about 3 weeks ago.
Do you find you've been getting them more again since you stopped smoking weed?
To be honest, since I got sober and the withdrawals stopped, I actually went 5 or 6 years without seizures. They've only just propped up again now because I was put on an antipsychotic or something to treat psychosis. And it didn't agree with the medication I was already on for the epilepsy.
Epilepsy.
So I've stopped taking them, and funnily enough, the seizures have stopped.
And the CBD should help that too.
Yeah, it does. It's
And the CBD won't get you high like cannabis does.
Yeah, that's it. So it took me a long time to sort of try it, but now I've tried it, I'm definitely converted, and it's not tempted me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It gives you all the medical benefits of cannabis without the physical
Yeah,
high.
it's like now it's really weird because I can't stand the smell of it. Walking down the street, because there is a lot of cannabis in my area. Walking down the street, I smell it, and I'm like, oh my god, like what is that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, that like stinks. Like, and to think that I used to enjoy that smell and I used to get a kick out of that smell and I used to smoke it and everything. It was like, Jesus Christ, okay.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife recently quit using it.
Yeah.
She would use it for her MS and help with the sleep and help with the body aches and all that kind of stuff. And she stopped using it on October 1st.
Oh, bless her.
And we live in an apartment complex, and we had like a light fixture in our living room that the light went out and we couldn't get the fixture off. So we had to call maintenance. And we're used to, whenever we had to call maintenance, we had to like hide all the bowls, hide all the bongs, make sure everything's put away and hidden, make sure it doesn't smell in the apartment because they can show up at any minute, any time now.
Yeah.
And that's the little things you notice because we didn't have to worry about hiding anything. We got rid of all of our bongs. A friend of mine from work needed some new bongs, so she bought all of my bongs. And and she bought the rest of the weed that we had and got it out of our apartment for us, for cheap. We weren't charging a lot of money. We just wanted the shit out of there.
Just get it gone.
Yep. Well, I'm glad to see you're doing so well, Elise. 6 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, especially.
Congratulations to you too.
Thank you. It's tough coming off, cocaine with all the psychosis and speed that comes along with it. How you said you were in a coma for 10 days?
Yeah.
And when you woke up, you were like, okay, I'm done.
Well, as far as I'm aware, again, I'm just going off of what I've been sort of told. They were trying to flush me out as much as they could in the hospital because they drew bloods and they ran a tox screen, and I just lit up with everything. Because again, it was that point in my life, my PTSD was sort of really coming out tenfold. My brothers were then showing signs of the PTSD. They weren't sleeping, and when they were sleeping, they were clawing at the walls till their fingers bled, and it broke my heart. All of this stuff going on with my mum. It was a lot to handle, and we'd gone through a lot of loss as well, which played a massive part in the sort of deep dive I took into drugs, because I was sort of using it on a daily, but then all of this stuff was going on, and it was like I couldn't go an hour without something, and I couldn't even get out of bed without sniffing a line of cocaine. Like I just couldn't. I could not function without it. So they were trying to flush me out as much as they could, and my brothers were actually in the room when I was waking up. And it was the look on their faces. I'd been raising these children, and due to my negligence and the decisions that I had made, they nearly lost me. And I was, at the time, it was the five of us against the world. Do you know what I mean? And for them to have gone through everything they've gone through and then had to see me in that state, it was like I can't do it anymore. I cannot, and I will not do it for, you know, for them. I have got to stop.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, Elise. It's definitely working.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I oddly enough, I have that.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's one that I've been wanting to get, actually. So
The fingers crossed.
Yeah, and so I've got my sober date tattooed on my arm, up here, and I've been wanting to try and find his face on this arm somewhere to get it, but this
I
one's
have
pretty
that,
much
and I have a heads up penny for good luck.
Oh, I love that.
So I have one on. They both are next to each other.
Yeah. See, the closest thing I've got to that is left and right because I can't tell the difference, so I had to get it tattooed.
You have on what on your wrist? You have it say.
Yeah, I've got left and right tattooed on each of my arms, so
Oh
you can see there and there as well.
That you're right. That's fucking hilarious. That's so funny. Those are good tattoos. I like that.
They're very useful. They are very useful. Everyone was like, "You're not going to use those." I was like, "Have you met me? Like, I don't know the difference, and I'm sick of going like that and people looking at me funny." So
yeah, now you can just look down at your arms and be like, "I know where this could go."
I know where I'm going.
All right. Well, have a great day, Elise.
Yeah. No, you too. It was lovely talking to you. Anyway.
You too.
All right. Bye.